Billy Haddon. Here with Matthew Lyle. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Well, in life, I'm doing good. My sports world is kind of at a low. The Patriots are all right. I mean, they're winning, so I'll take that. My Warriors got beat by the Bucks. My Kentucky teams are just being at the rock bottom right now. So it's a rare down part. But
While we on that, what you think about your Kentucky Wildcats yesterday? I know we didn't talk about it in the group chat yesterday. Let's go ahead and start out right there before we get too deep in.
Well, it's where we are as a team, and I think the depth starts to get here. There's a quote that I've always loved: "Fatigue makes cowards of us all," and I think that at this point, I've always said that if you could play real sports like a video game and you could turn off the fatigue, then Kentucky would be one of the top teams around because I like their top 22 players. It's what happens when your top 22 gets tired or you have to start dipping into players 30 through 50. When you start having to have we got nice 4-star players, but when you have to start going down to the 2 stars and you start having to get on X walk-ons, you're not going to do very well. And then so they're already getting tired on the season. I told people all the time, you can't have Benny Snell, you can't have an SEC running back running the ball 30 times a game. You can't have Josh Allen making all your plays because eventually they're going to get tired after a span of games, and they are. And other guys are getting discouraged. The line's getting discouraged because Benny's not as so Benny used to make up for a lot of the linemen's mistakes, which wasn't very often early on in the season. Well, now Benny's tired. He may not say it, but let's be real. He's in game 10. He's tired. And, so now the mistakes that the line make are a little bit more evident. The mistakes, the blown coverage in the secondary is a little bit more evident when Josh Allen's not, when it takes Josh Allen 4 seconds to get back there opposed to 2.5. So just little things like that are starting to happen. So when your elite players are fatigued and kind of looking for other people to step up, you kind of got the other people kind of just looking around for answers too, and it gets kind of discouraging. So it is painful, but I do like the fact that there is a still possibility for 9 or 10 wins this season, depending on how it goes. I mean, obviously, not only is the playoffs out the window, the New Year's Six Bowl is out the window. I'm actually thinking we're going to get a Music City Bowl against North Carolina State, who was ranked mid-teens, and they lost as well.
Well, just be happy that you're going to get that. I mean, my Florida State Seminoles is in grave danger of losing the active streak, the longest active streak in college football of even a bowl game. So, yeah.
Well, I mean that is true. But if you're a Florida State fan, you don't worry too much because, now granted, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, you're going to find your way back. Kentucky has to find their way there before they can ever think about finding their way back.
I agree. So let's go ahead and kick off this NFL show. Before we get started on the real show today, happy veterans to all the guys that I serve with, all the guys that's overseas right now, downrange in Afghanistan, away from their families right now. Happy Veterans Day to you all. So let's go ahead and get the show started. We're going to start off with the Saints and the Bengals. Saints 7-1, Bengals 5-3. Bengals are fighting for a playoff spot. They're fighting in that AFC North division. If I'm not mistaken, they are 1 game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they cannot afford to drop this game here. Saints signed Dez Bryant on Thursday. He tore his Achilles on, I believe it was on Friday. Who wins?
Well, so to allude to one of our old shows or last week's show, I said that we have both agreed that the Saints signing Dez was a no risk for them, and even more so now. I mean, they're out $500,000 if they owe him the entire contract. But not only if you're going to have it happen, they didn't even get to really incorporate him into the offense, so they don't have to change anything at all from the 7-1 season that they were before they got him. To go to your Bengals, this is where they start to mess up, is when they can't mess up. When they had a lead on the division or when they were up there at the top of the division, everything was kind of cool. All you had to do was have Pittsburgh keep losing. Well, now Pittsburgh looks like they're a well-oiled machine. Cincinnati can't afford to lose this game, which is why I think they will lose this game. So I think there wasn't a lot of risk for New Orleans signing Dez, if any at all. But the worst case scenario would have been if he would have got hurt week 17, after they finally found a way to incorporate him into the offense, after they drew up plays specifically for him, and after he got to play for a couple weeks. But now that he never even got to do that, they don't have to change anything. And I know we've talked before, receivers are one of those positions where, especially if you're good and you have a good quarterback, you don't have to change too much. But let's be real, Sean Payton loves to get the most out of every player he got. And he might have done more stuff with Dez than he would, a rookie or somebody over there. So
again, when they got him,
right? But now that they didn't have to deal with that now. Any play that Sean Payton drew up, he can just shred because that's not even a thought now. So now you just pick up to where you were when you beat the Rams last time out, and you just keep on going from that. So I think the Saints win.
I definitely agree with you, especially, you brought up a real good point that he didn't even get to be incorporated into the offense, which means it's almost like they didn't even sign him, and they just donated $500,000 to charity or something like that. Because they was already talking about they were non-committal on the fact of whether or not Dez Bryant would even play this Sunday. So that already lets you know that they probably didn't have anything planned for him. And if he did play, they were just probably going to run the minimum, do some stuff that he's kind of used to, or that he knows, obviously, been in the league for so long. But I definitely agree. I think the Saints win this. And to your earlier point about the Bengals, about them needing to win this, I think that's the reason, just like you said, that's the reason why they are going to lose. I couldn't agree anymore. I think right now they see the Bengals. I mean, they see the Steelers, and they are smooth selling. And then the reports come out yesterday about Le'Veon may not show up. That's even better for the Steelers right now. So the Bengals know that, and the Bengals are going to be pressing. And when you press, you normally tend to make mistakes. And right now, they can't afford any mistakes.
Absolutely right.
You want to say something?
No, I was just saying you're absolutely right. That's usually when the Bengals stop being the Bengals. We start off the show talking about Kentucky Wildcats. Are the Bengals the NFL version of Kentucky? I mean, mediocre.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier in the season, how they would come out fast, and then going down playoff time, they're starting to dip, and it's starting to show.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so moving on to your beloved Patriots. Patriots are visiting the Titans today. I don't really see any. I don't really expect any hitch in the plan. Right now, I think the Patriots continue to roll. I think the Patriots win this one big, although they're only a 6.5 point favorite. What goes down today?
Well, Gronk is out, so that's one mismatch because the Titans cannot stop a tight end to save their life. Yep. So that's kind of stinks. Takes one of the leverages away from the Patriots. But then there's everything else. I mean, you look, Vrabel is a protege, I guess, of Belichick, but he's not recent enough. Like I'm drawing a blank on his name, Matt Patricia up in Lions. Matt Patricia for the Lions was just there last year, so he could carry some of that terminology, some of that playing over. Vrabel hasn't been there in a while, so that's not going to be a benefit. And then what is going to be a benefit for the Patriots is I was even hard on Bill Belichick, but it looks like he knew what he was doing when he benched Butler in the Super Bowl, because Butler has been a huge liability for the Titans secondary. Not only does Tom Brady know that, he knew what his weaknesses were when Butler was at his peak. I bet Tom Brady's definitely going to know what Butler's weaknesses are now that he's on the decline. And I could see, especially if Josh Gordon ever gets lined up on Butler out there, I think Tom's going to take advantage of that every time. I just think, and even if the defense does come together, because the Titans do have a very nice defense when it can play its style, where's the points coming from? Because let's say you hold Tom Brady to 14 points. Where's your 14 coming from? And there's nothing that the Tennessee Titans have that make me confident and comfortable in saying that they're going to outscore Tom Brady.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially your Malcolm Butler point. It seemed like since the Super Bowl, he has not been the same guy that he was. I mean, everybody is throwing at him. Everybody is catching passes on him. I mean, this one here, I think this is probably one of the most clear cut and dry games that we're probably going to have that we're going to talk about right now. But yeah, I don't see how the Patriots slip up and lose to the Titans, even if it is on the road. I just don't see that. To your earlier point about Dez, well, Josh Gordon is kind of acclimated into this offense, and I think they will put him on Butler. There's questions flow now. Will Tom Brady go at Malcolm Butler? Of course he will. Like that's a silly question. He, like you say, he knows his weaknesses. He knows the routes that he can't defend. I always have a thing with these guys that are kind of one hit wonders to me. Yeah, I know he gave the Patriots a pretty good run last year, but a lot of his fame comes from one play in the Super Bowl, and I get it; it was huge. I still don't think he probably should have even been in that situation to even make that play, but I think Tom Brady go at him today, and I think Tom Brady go at him often today.
Well, to your point on that, Malcolm Butler, before he kind of got to be the star the last couple of seasons after that, he made it very evident that the reason he was able to make that play is because Bill Belichick made him run that play 80 and 90 times.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
I remember that interview.
So even then, not to get into the discussion of who's better and what, the Brady-Belichick conversation, but there's no debate here on how brilliant Belichick is. So if you want to give any of the praise to that, it has to go to Belichick. And now Butler obviously made the play, but it's very easy to make the play when your coach has drilled it in your head, hey, this is coming. You're going to remember that. And
yeah, because he said as soon as he seen the formation, he already knew what the play was.
Right. And which is crazy because apparently they hadn't run that a lot in the regular season. So for Belichick it's just so crazy for Belichick to practice that. And then for the only time it get called on the most important snap of the game, it just kind of shows you how these coaches are always preparing. And I'm sure, I like Pete Carroll, and I think, not to harp on that old Super Bowl, but just to kind of take how coaches are making players in a lot of situations. I'm sure Pete Carroll thought, oh, I'm going to catch him off guard with this play. They're thinking it's run.
For sure. Cat and mouse.
Yeah, they think it's going to be a run because we have beast mode. We haven't run this play since week 4. Let's go ahead and run this now. And Bill Belichick was more prepared. So, but yeah, absolutely. Butler made some nice plays, and I'm thankful for Butler as a Patriots fan to get that Super Bowl win. But when you
Tom is going to go after him at an aggressive mode today
because you don't have Belichick like coaching for the Titans to say, hey, Tom likes to throw this on a route. When Tom throws to Josh Gordon, he likes to put the ball a little to the left. Make sure you take away Josh Gordon's left. No, there's not that kind of coaching. So Butler doesn't have that kind of preparation. Butler's relying more on his talent than coaching, and it's showing that that's not going to be suffice.
I find it funny, that every year it's like we have this conversation about the Patriots. They start out slow. Oh man, they beat the Texans barely. They go on the road to Jacksonville, and basically that score looked a lot better than what the game actually was. Then they lose to the Lions, and we saying, oh man, is this the year that Tom Brady done fell off the cliff? And now you look up now in November, they're 7-2, possibly finna be 8-2. It's truly amazing every single year that this team is there. It's to me, it's even more impressive what the Patriots do than what I see Alabama do. Because in college, it's a little bit easier. You get the guys that you want, and you're getting the best guys.
Well,
it seems like Bill Belichick just it doesn't matter which team you give him. It's just him just give him 12 and everybody else just follow suit.
Well, if you go back to the summer and find when me and Mike, well, you were there too, we were all three talking about the AFC choices, and I have no doubt that Mike was trolling a little bit. Me and Mike had a little back and forth about I'm not worried about anything the Patriots do. They're going to start slow, and then they're going to finish strong. And he's like, well, this is the year they don't. And there will be a year that they don't. There will be a year that it does collapse, potentially. And I don't know when that year is. So I'm always going to go with history. History says when they start 2-2, they finish with at least 12 wins. History says that they're going to make it to at least the AFC Championship game, considering they've made it to, I think, the last 7. So why wouldn't they make it to this one? That's just what hit. Now, obviously, there's going to come a time when that's not the case, and I'll own it at that time. But the safest bet is always to go with them. And I think the real reason that is because aside from Tom Brady, Gronk, and Belichick, every other part's moving. Even Edelman tends to deal with injuries or suspension, so he always finds himself coming in at different times. But everyone else has to gel. And I think it takes 4 to 6 weeks to do that. And if you notice, even after they lost to Jacksonville, I think there was a game against the Bears where they looked pretty dominant, but it was a close one. A lot of people said, oh, Mitch Trubisky outplayed him. But that's just them building. And one thing I think is interesting of players from the Patriots, there's smart ones, and then there's the ones that want the money. If you notice, look at certain players, and usually they're younger players. The younger players won't be very good. They'll come to New England, they'll play good, and then they'll go to the Browns and chase the check. They'll go to the Colts and chase the check. They'll go to the Jets and they'll chase the check. And then you got the older ones. They'll come. They've been in the league a while. They've made their money. They come to the Patriots. They either win a Super Bowl or they get close. And then guess what? They go to another team like that. The best 2 examples, like Wes Welker really struggled before he got to New England. Played in New England, realized what a good team could do for him. Guess where he goes next? The Broncos with Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Chris Long had a decent career, but never really did anything. Comes to New England, realizes, oh, this is what a good organization does. Goes to Philadelphia, another solid, good, or if Chris Young or Chris Long was 10 years younger or 8 years younger, he might have left them and went to, the Bills to chase that check. But he's like, hey, I've made enough money. I come from a nice family with my dad playing in the NFL.
Brother playing in the NFL.
Right. This is what I realize what this is like, playing for a good organization. I want to continue to play for good organizations.
I'm right there with you on that. Switching gears, let's go to the Redskins and the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are a 3.5-point favorite. I don't kind of see why. I guess maybe because of how the Redskins played last week. But we've seen this so far throughout the year with the Redskins. They'll win a few, and then they'll lose. I think they win this game here against the Buccaneers. They need this game against the Buccaneers. They are one game ahead of the NFC East over the Cowboys, and we're going to get to them later, the Cowboys and the Eagles. I didn't mean to say one game ahead of the Cowboys. One game ahead of the Eagles. Sorry. Eagles are sitting at 4-4. They're one game ahead of the Eagles. I think they need this game because I do believe later on the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys tonight. So how you see this one playing out?
Well, I see this game being a comparable version of what you just said their season's been. Because the reason I think they're not favorite is because they've had all that injury. They had so many injuries, and that whole line is depleted. So they're going to struggle.
The running back position, everybody is just
right. So what I think you're going to have is they're going to come out and they are going to bust through the game. I think they might come up 10, 13 points, maybe 14-0 lead, and then Fitzmagic is about to happen. Fitzmagic really comes out when you're pushed to the edge, when you're about to be kicked from the ledge of even possibly competing for this game. So they're going to be down 14-0 at halftime, maybe even 17-0 in the third quarter, and then here comes Fitzmagic. Now, I picked wrong last week. I went and I said they were going to beat the Panthers. Now, Fitzmagic came on strong and made a push, but the Panthers' offense was good enough to run with them. So when everything started rolling, the Panthers were like, okay, well, we can keep up. I don't know if the Redskins can. So when they get up 14-0, and then here comes Fitzmagic, and it's 14-14, can the Redskins score again? If the Redskins go get a field goal and it's 17-14 and then Fitzmagic throws another touchdown, now you're down. Now you need more than a field goal. Now you need Alex Smith to throw with a bad line. So I'm going to go Redskins get on early, Buccaneers win the game.
That's a pretty bold position. That's a pretty bold statement. But you may have a shot. I know Jamison Crowder is not going to be in this game. I believe Trent Williams is out for this game. I believe Morgan Moses is questionable for this game. Chris Thompson is out, so now they're down a running back again for the second week in a row. Adrian Peterson is still dealing with his injury. You may have a point. I just think the Redskins is going to pull this out. The Bucks have really nothing to fight for, but normally those are the most dangerous teams, the teams that can just hang loose. Why? Because they go for it on fourth down. They do fake punts. They do all the trick plays that you probably wouldn't do if you were in the thick of a playoff race, which I never really understood why you would want to do that stuff then and not be aggressive all the time. But I think the Washington Redskins, I think they come out with a win. And they're going to be on pace to win the NFC East, but they have to get that offensive line healthy. They were going down left and right, but I think the Redskins pull it out and they get the win.
Well, I like to envision that Ryan Fitzpatrick, a Harvard grad, over this week took his receivers and his linemen out for some steak and some beer, and he said, guys, let's talk about this. This is I have been granted a rare opportunity. This team is mine for the remainder of the season. I think it's safe to say they're not going to come back to Winston unless they absolutely have to. So I think Fitzpatrick says, this team is mine till the end of the year. I'm old. I don't get another shot. What can I do? What can we work on? Because we talked about it a lot. We think the receivers are actually happier now that Fitzpatrick's in.
Okay, we're good. You was talking about Fitz. Uh-huh. So let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that they keep Jameis? I know we kind of talked about it before, but now that Fitz is on his second game starting, do you think that they keep Jameis Winston on the roster next year? Because if he's on the roster by March, he's owed that $20 million. That 20.8 million dollars, I believe it is. So do you think they try to trade him before that March deadline, or do you think that they go into the season riding with Jameis to see what he can do, and then if things ain't working, then trade him mid-season? What you think happens? Yeah, I definitely agree. I think if they don't get that opportunity to move him in the off season, I think they do it as early as possible. That way his stock doesn't go down. You want to get the most out of Jameis, or the most trade value out of him. And I think that's probably not playing him, because if he does get hurt, now you can't trade him at all. Nobody's going to take a hurt quarterback that's turnover prone and that's kind of a knucklehead that don't listen. So I do think that they move him this all season. If not, like you said, first part of that year, he's out of Tampa. And I think that'll probably be better for his career, anyways. Uh, let's move on to. I like the logic, and I think he will fit well with that team, especially once Leonard Fournette comes back and he's healthy. Even right now, with I don't want to see Jameis in Florida. I think that's just too close to home, and especially it's moving farther up closer to home, moving going north from Tampa to Jacksonville. I just think that's how he's going to get in trouble. I think he needs to go somewhere far away from all the friends, all the family, and I think he just needs to focus on football. Jacksonville, fit wise, it works perfect, honestly. Just I don't think Jameis need to be in Florida any longer. He just needs to get out. Even though he's from Alabama, Alabama's just right there. It's a quick little trip. I think he needs to get out of Florida, move, go somewhere else, out west or somewhere. I definitely agree with that as well. Yeah, and I Gruden likes Jameis coming out of college. He really liked Jameis, but John Gruden loved everybody coming out of college, and then he gets him and trade him away. So that's true. That's absolutely true. So let's go to this Monday night game, because I don't want to really end the show off of that. We're gonna end it with Cowboys Eagles, the Sunday night game tonight. And we're gonna do some quick fire before we get to the Cowboy Eagles. But let's get the Giants 49ers game out the way right now. This is the battle of the worst teams in the NFL. Battle for the number one pick. What you think happens? 49ers at home, 3.5 point favorite. Yeah, to your point, I think the 49ers to you they know that they have Garoppolo. They know and they probably thinking in their head, Shanahan, John Lynch, they they're probably thinking if we had we would probably be okay. Whether they're right or not, whether that's true, but they believe that if we had Jimmy G, we would be in a better situation currently. So I I don't think they're playing for the number one pick, but like Giants, there's been questions about Eli for 2 years. Last year he got benched for Geno, and everybody in New York went crazy. This year, they start him. Pat Shermer, he starts him, and now everybody want Eli out of town. I think the trend for the New York Giants will continue tonight. I think they are. I mean, tomorrow night they're going to be 1-8. We'll get the number one pick in the NFL draft. I think the Raiders is going to win another game. The Giants still have a pretty not I won't say tough, but they still have to play some division opponents who's really looking to be in the playoffs. So they're definitely going to get everybody's best punch from here on out. I think the Giants lose tomorrow night. To your point, I think the 49ers get another win. I think the 49ers are trying to also slip in that that fourth, fifth pick in the draft. That way they don't really have to make any big decisions, being that they already have a quarterback. So I think the 49ers win. I think the 49ers get it done as well tomorrow night. Brady, the running back, he's been good before he got hurt. He's had a really good year. So we can move up, of course. Redskins did it with the RG3 year. Gave up all that for RG3. Trubisky, yep. Patrick Mahomes. It's almost like fantasy football, man. Everybody's waiting for that one person to take a defense. As soon as you take a defense, everybody started taking them at that point. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Let's do some rapid fire. You don't have to, we're not on the time restraint right now, so let's just go about them as we go about them. Falcons, Browns. Browns at home. Atlanta obviously probably trying to get back into the playoff race. I don't really see that happening. They're still behind the Panthers and the Saints in the NFC South division. The Browns, we know what their season are. Pathetic right now. Fired Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley a few weeks ago. Last week was Greg Williams' first week as interim head coach. Freddie Kitchens, the offensive coordinator. What happens today in Cleveland? Mhm. Gotcha. That's a good bold pick. That's definitely a good bold pick. And, Denzel Ward, he should be coming back from injury, but he's been banged up. That the Cleveland Browns secondary is really kind of depleted right now. I'm right there with you. I think the Falcons win this game. I do think Baker Mayfield have pretty good success against this Falcon defense, who really haven't been all that great this year. But all in all, I think the Falcons win this game. Probably by 10 points. I think they win. Um, Next on the list, we got Lions and Bears. Lions playing in Chicago. Chicago 7 point favorite. The Bears are atop of that NFC North division. By a half game, obviously, because the Minnesota Vikings got a tie. What happens in Chicago today? Yeah, Trubisky has been playing really good. Matt Nagy got him. I don't know. I don't know what it is about. I guess that Andy Reid system, but this guy Matt Nagy has got Trubisky looking a whole lot better than what I envisioned at the start of the season. I think the Bears win as well. I think they know how important this is, um, and I think that they get it done at home. I don't see a reason why the Lions haven't really traded away Golden Tate 2 weeks ago. Uh, I think they're fully in rebuild mode, not really caring about winning. So I think the Bears get it done. Um, Moving on, Jaguars at Colts. Colts is a 3 point favorite at home. Both teams are 3-5. What happens? Wow, zero. That makes weeks ago. What's his name? Bortles said, he knows that he the scapegoat and all this other stuff when stuff don't go right and all this other stuff. Like, you are the problem. Like, you're the problem. Yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you. I think the Colts win this one. Either, and it's crazy that this team was just in the AFC Championship last year and could have Tom Brady in the New England Patriots, and then to see where they at now, 3-5 on the year, is going to miss the playoffs. I said it the whole time. I lived in Florida my whole life. I'm about an hour and a half away from Jacksonville. I know what this team is, and with Bortles, and I told their ESPN reported this on Twitter. That we was having a back and forth, and he was saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars is not going to regret giving Blake Bortles that money. And I told him, well, come holler at me in the around mid-season. Look where he at now. They're 3-5. He's already been benched one time. That team is not very good. I'm taking the Colts in a route as well. Cardinals and Chiefs. Obviously, Chiefs is one of the hottest teams in the league, facing one of the I wouldn't even know what to call the Cardinals right now, because to me, I think they've just been playing some bad football. But Chiefs at home, 16.5-point favorite. What you got? She put up 56 today. Yeah, he has like the Tua effect where these guys know that they can make all the throws, and if there's even a little window, Pat Mahomes is going to let it fly. And why wouldn't you when you got weapons like that? I think the Chiefs win big as well. I just think it's going to prove to be too much. Um, Defense shouldn't be a problem in this. So I got the Chiefs winning pretty handily. Here's your favorite right here. We got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Jets at home, 7-point favorite. Neither team really needs to win this game, but somebody got to win. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Bills have went back to Nathan Peterman. That shows you what dire situations they're in. Jets and Bills. That's true. That's true. Matt Barkley. It's in New York. Jersey, wherever they play at. Know either. That Bills. I did see that yesterday. I don't know why it slipped my mind. I was on Twitter and I seen that Matt Barkley is going to be the starter, and I was like, I guess they're just going to start everybody this year, huh? They're just throwing the kitchen sink at everybody. You don't know who to prepare for. So I'm going to go to Bills on this game. I think Matt Barkley will show some sign of life. I do not like Sam Darnold. He is not a very to me. He's a okay. I can win you a few games, but if I don't have a good running game and my defense is not playing well, you won't get a good game out of me. This guy leads the league in interception. Go ahead. Artie? Darn. That is correct if I'm looking at my things correctly. It's doubtful. So yeah, he probably won't at 11 o'clock kick. That's in what, about a couple hours. Um, but I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game. Not really too confident on that pick. But I'm just gonna go to Bills. Uh, and that's what he's been over his career. You know, he'll give you a few games. He's like Fitzpatrick. I think he's just a worse version of Fitzpatrick. I think he gives you a good game, and then he'll give you those Chargers Raiders. Woo, at home. Um, Chargers is looking really, really good. This was my pick to win that AFC West. That won't come true, obviously, because the Chiefs. But this is a tough team to play. Chargers, 10-point favorite. Who you got? You talking about the receiver from Clemson, right? Drawing a blank here for some reason. I don't know what's going on with my brain today. But moving on, I can't. I don't. Oh yeah. Tyrell Williams. Yeah. Okay. Now I know you're saying. Um, we got the Dolphins and the Packers. Packers, I think their season is completely done. Obviously, I don't think they. I mean, obviously they have a chance to come back in the NFC North Division. Anything can happen. I don't think it will. Green Bay is a 10.5 point favorite, although Miami hasn't been terrible. Who you got? Uh, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Packers win at home. There's one thing that I can contest to that you just said, and that's people from Florida, we don't like cold at all. You know, it hit 60 degrees. Everybody got on, the big Parker jackets. We suited up from head to toe. And it's something about playing in some cold weather. So, my Seminoles experienced that last night playing in South Bend. You see them; they was wrapped up like they was sitting by the fire or something, and they dropping everything. Your hands all. It's something about being from that environment, playing in that kind of weather, and then you have to travel to somewhere cold. I'm right there with you. I think the Packers win. I think Aaron Rodgers is how it went last week and the week before. Um, and I think he takes it on the poor Miami Dolphins. Next we got the Seahawks and the Rams. Seahawks is I think they've won the four straight to to come up to 4-4. Rams obviously lost their first game of the season last week against the New Orleans Saints. What you think happens today? Rams 8.5 point favorite. Yeah, the Rams have really underperformed on defense this year. They haven't been what they are on paper, but I still think they get the win as well. I just don't think Russell Wilson. He's another quarterback that I'm not too fond of. Um, but I think the Rams get the win at home. Um, Go ahead. He's getting torched left and right, left and right. And I was one of those people that said, "Why would they let him go?" He is getting burnt. I mean, every time you look around, he's getting beat. And I don't know if you heard, seen the clip about him talking about Sean Payton. Yeah, yeah. I think the latter. I think the latter. He can't stop anybody. And Michael Thomas is as good as any receiver that we have in the NFL. I think he gets torched again. It just seems like his focus is not there for some reason. It just seems like he's not in it right now. A lot of zone. No, exactly. sure. Yeah, I think he kind of lost his cool heat in the moment. To the Sunday night game, the main event of today. We got the Cowboys and the Eagles. This has been a long time rivalry here. Eagles are fighting to get back on top of the NFC East, as I stated earlier, one game behind the Redskins. Cowboys, I think they're done playing in Philly tonight. How you see this playing out tonight? Yeah, I got Philly winning as well. I think they need this game. I think they will win this game. Um, Cowboys, man, as long as Dak Prescott is in charge of running that offense, I think the Dallas Cowboys make it to another playoff game. And that seems kind of bold. And I know it's because I don't like the Cowboys. I just truly believe that. And I think the reason why they got there his rookie year was because Zeke Elliott went crazy. He run over everybody, took the lead by storm. The defense was playing much better. And everything was perfect for Dak Prescott. Now everybody knows who Zeke is. And everybody is planning we stopping Zeke first, and we're gonna let Dak Prescott beat us if he can. Some games he can, but I think more often than not he won't. And I think that's going to be the case tonight. I think the Eagles are going to come out hot early. I think they're going to put up two quick touchdowns, and now the pressure's on Dak Prescott. What are you going to do? You're going to